What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you guys are having a good weekend so far. In today's video, we're going to be talking about two rebalance changes to some pretty old champions that definitely deserve it. So let's cover that in this video. I want to make a quick note here, and I wanted to apologize for some earlier videos that had some mic distortion. I think it's because of a faulty USB. So I just switched up some of my wiring for my mic, and I think it sounds a lot better. So let me know in the comments below if you guys have noticed a bit of a difference. Without further ado, let's jump into these rebalance changes. Here we got, first up, we got Gliseah Soulguide. Now she's probably at least 4 years old now, and she was supposed to be the answer for lockout champions, or a answer for lockout champions back in the day. And this was before like mythical champions, and before it was just basically like warlord for lockout champions. And yeah, needless to say, she wasn't very effective. But anyways, let's go over her kit here. So before, her A1 attacks one enemy, has a 30% chance of placing freeze, also applies free debuff spread effect, taking one random debuff from the target and placing it on all enemies under freeze. Pretty conditional, right? Like the original A1, pretty conditional. It's a low chance to place freeze. Well, they updated it to a 50% chance of placing freeze. That's a lot better and more in line with other, A1s that offer crowd control. And then also applies debuff spread, taking all the debuffs from the target and then placing them on all enemies under freeze. No longer is it just one random debuff. So the A1 much improved, a lot more value there after the buff. Now let's go on to the Breath of Rhyme. Attacks all enemies, places a weaken for 2 turns, also steals one random buff from each enemy under freeze. So on a 3-turn cooldown. So you guys can kind of see where the power creep has come after all this time. So she can place a weaken and steal one random buff from enemies only under freeze. Pretty bad. Now it's been updated to attacks all enemies, steal all buffs from all enemies. That is a huge buff. That is a huge buff. No longer do you have the conditional freeze stuff, which is totally crap, and then steal one random buff. Now it's steal all buffs. So it's an attack all enemies, steal all buffs, and it's a place weaken on a 3-turn cooldown. Way more in line with today's standards. So that is a huge buff to that Breath of Rhyme. And then Everwinter places a block debuff. This is the original, so current ability. Places the block debuff on all allies for 2 turns. This is on a 5-turn cooldown, by the way. Also has a 60% chance of placing a freeze debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Then fills this champion's turn meter by 15% for each freeze debuff placed by this skill. Pretty bad skill, to be honest. It's basically block debuff on your whole team, and then it's a conditional freeze on the enemy, and then it's a turn meter fill only on herself on a 5-turn cooldown. So it's not very good value as an ability. It's getting updated to place block debuffs on all allies. Okay, so they kept that. That's good. And now it has a 100%. Actually, is it 100% chance to freeze? I'm just going to check the book situation here on the Everwinter ability. It's 20% extra debuff chance from books. So at 75% with 20%, that's only 95%. That's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that they left it at 95% instead of 100%. Anyways, it's a 95% chance of placing a freeze debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. And then it fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%. And then fills the turn meter of each ally by an extra 5% for each freeze on them. So potentially 35% turn meter fill if she freezes everybody. But it's kind of weird that it's 75% chance and then the books up to 95% chance. Maybe that's a mistake. I'll bring that up. Maybe that's a mistake on their part. It's a 4-turn cooldown when fully booked. So not, I mean, that's a great ability, to be honest. That's a great ability. That's a great buff. Let's check out her passive, Timeless. So originally, it's supposed to be this champion skills cannot be put on cooldown. So like I said, she was supposed to be some kind of cooldown reduction counter. Whenever an enemy tries to put this champion skills on, or an ally skills on cooldown, places a freeze debuff on that enemy. Also has a 50% chance of denying the cooldown increasing effect. So it was only a 50% chance. It never fully, shut out like lockout champions. The freeze debuff cannot be blocked or resisted, will not deny cooldown increasing effects from bosses. Fine. It's getting updated too. So she's keeping the cannot be put on cooldown effect. So she's keeping that. Whenever an enemy tries to put either her skills or an ally skills, places a freeze on that enemy. So she's keeping that. The freeze debuff cannot be blocked or resisted. That is being kept. So what is being upgraded here? Also has a 50% chance of denying the cooldown increase effect. So that stays the same. This chance increases by 25% for each enemy under freeze. So potentially it can go up to 100% now. You only need 2 enemies under freeze. But that also means you need to go first. So if you're not going first, then it's still 50% chance most likely. Will not deny cooldown increasing effects from bosses. That's fine. And then the brand new text here. Whenever an enemy tries to put either this champion or an ally's skills on cooldown, instantly activates an instant turn effect on this champion. So if somebody tries to lock her out or lock out a ally, she gets an instant turn. How does that work? I wonder how that works, because if she's locked out and then she gets an instant turn, is that really that impactful? I'm not too sure the order of effects here, how that actually works. Actually, her skills cannot be put on cooldown. So if you AoE cooldown reduction the team, she comes in and then she can use one of her abilities because her skills can't be put on cooldown. Right, that's right. That's interesting. So she can come back in, potentially steal buffs or freeze them and turn meter boost. And she has the chance of denying 50% chance of denying the cooldown effect. Okay. I mean, yes, it's a massive buff all around. To be honest, this is what like a buff for a bad champion that doesn't get used. And now it will certainly get used because she got buffed into, the stratosphere, right? I think it's an excellent buff. I think this is what all buffs should be. They should make relevant, positive change to a champion that gets very little use. I'm really happy to see this buff. I think both my accounts have Gliseah and I don't use her at all. She is, I think I do have her level 60 because she does bring block debuffs, which is, I think, important in some of the faction war fights against the boss. The block debuffs is very important, I think. So I was using her for that, but I didn't book her out or anything like that. So it's on a 5-turn cooldown. It's pretty useless. But yeah, super happy to see these updates for her, and these are very relevant, very, very good updates. All right, let's move on to the next champion that's getting rebalanced, and that's going to be Sir Nicolas, guys. Sir Nicolas, he is getting a rework, a little bit of a buff here for Sir Nicolas after all these years. Super old champion, one of the first fusions, I believe, back in the day. I wasn't even playing back in the day when Sir Nick was a fusion. But finally he's getting rebalanced here. His kit was really good back in the day. One of the hardest hitting HP based damage dealers, but obviously very power crept. They recently added Lady Noelle last year, and to give him a bit of a partner bonus to bring him back into relevancy. And in this balance chain, they actually emphasize that kind of partnership with her, and I think it's really good. So let's go over it here right now. So before his A1 attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing freeze debuff for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be resisted. That's very good because you don't want to build Sir Nicolas with accuracy anyways. But that's getting a little bit of a rework here. So attacks one enemy has a increased chance of landing the freeze debuff. It cannot be resisted. It goes up to 65% chance. I'm just going to double look at the bookings here. And the 65% chance is that's it. There's no debuff chance on books. So 2/3 of the time he's going to land freeze. It's irresistible. If Lady Noelle is on the same team, the chance increases to 100% and it cannot be blocked or debuffed. So very, very nice, synergy there. No accuracy needed. Of course, 100% chance to freeze. His A2, Polar Protection. Currently, it attacks all enemies, places a shield on all allies for 2 turns. The value of the shield is equal to 30% of the damage inflicted. So on a 4-turn cooldown, books down to 3 turns. It's going to get updated to attacks all enemies will ignore 30% of each target's defense if Lady Noelle is on the same team. That is a massive buff. 30% ignore defense on this ability is huge, which means the shield is going to be way bigger as well. That's really, really nice buff there. And not only does he place a shield, he also places a strengthen now as well with the update. So he gets a strengthen buff added and big damage added if Lady Noelle is on the same team. The best thing about this is that Lady Noelle is actually a really good champion. So putting them together is not difficult. And people actually still use Sir Nicolas in his current form with Lady Noelle because the combo together with them, their partnership bonuses are actually really, really good. So this is a straight buff for people that really like Sir Nicolas and Lady Noelle in its current form. Like really, really big buffs here. 30% ignore defense, and then now adding a strengthen as well. Let's check out his Goodwill, his A3. So this is the big move here. He's been known for this move for a long time. 6-turn cooldown, books down to 4 turns, and people are using it for like clan boss teams and all that stuff. So currently it just places unkillable and a continuous heal buff for 2 turns. I mean, this is pretty standard on a 4-turn. A lot of champions still use the 4-turn block damage, for example. So this is a 4-turn unkillable, right? So it's going to get updated to places the unkillable and continuous heal for 2 turns. So that stays the same. Also places counterattack on himself. So now he places counterattack on himself. And then he has that A1 freeze, which is super nasty. And if Lady Noelle is on the team, also places taunt on himself as well for 2 turns. So he's getting counterattack and taunt for himself as well. And he's getting a brand new passive. He's getting a passive out of thin air. Enemy ignored ignore defense effects, used against allies under shield are decreased by 30%. So for example, now your savage sets are 30% less effective if your teammates are under a shield. Enemy ignore effects used against Lady Noelle while she is under a shield are decreased by 60%. So she gets additional protection from the ignore defense effects. Now I gotta say, these buffs to Sir Nicolas are absolutely bonkers. Like, they're bonkers buffs. Okay, so his A1 irresistible 100% hit. His A2 gets strengthened, big damage, ignore defense damage, a boost, and then his A3 counterattack and taunt, and then a passive that further protects your team. The craziest thing about this is that Sir Nicolas, in his current form, people usually build him in a 9-piece protection set. So now you have protected strengthen added, you have protected counterattack, you have protected taunt, on top of all that other protected shenanigans. Protected unkillable, protected continuous heal, protected shields. Yeah, this is something. Sir Nicolas plus Lady Noelle in his current form, like I said, is being used already. Both of them 9-piece protection roughly, maybe Lady Noelle faster in Stone Skin or something as a reviver. But currently, you can it is a huge buff to people that currently use him. Like I said, in his current form, 9-piece protection, he's already being used, and this is a massive buff to that kind of build. Now, he does deal more damage, so maybe people might be more inclined to build him towards more damage, but I still think 9-piece protection with the Lady Noelle combo, especially the cycling of the unkillable buff, is absolutely insane. And now he's going to be a damage threat as well, and he's going to make everybody in your team incredibly harder to kill. This is a massive buff. This is like a game-changing buff. He's a Void legendary as well, so it's just awesome. And the best thing about him is that he was part of a guaranteed event last year. So there's more likely that more people have him in recent times than there is, not. He's a Void legendary, and usually these buffs to Void legendaries don't really affect a lot of people. But I think this buff being very good for a champion that potentially more people will have is actually kind of insane. I'm not looking forward to facing a bunch of Lady Noelles and Sir Nicolas in just random random arena fights. I'm definitely not looking forward to that. Siege, this is going to be nuts. I just noticed that both Sir Nicolas and Gliseah is actually part of Sacred Order. So both of these guys getting very significant buffs and kind of making them potentially an absolute nightmare to deal with in Sacred Order. Could be very interesting. Anyways, guys, as you can clearly see, these buffs to Gliseah and Sir Nicolas are very good, very impactful, and I look forward to Plarium actually doing more of these types of buffs for future champions. Hopefully they take note from this, and of course we can let them know how we feel. And you guys let me know how you guys feel about this in the comments below. Do you guys have Gliseah or Sir Nicolas? Are you guys excited about these buffs? Does this change anything for you guys? Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Let me know in the comments below. Have a great day. Thanks for watching until the end, and I'll see you guys in the next video.